Hello, everybody. It is the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. Thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting, and supporting the show. Do appreciate you joining. Now, it is the 8th day of January. We're 2 days removed from what happened in Washington, D.C. Not every Trump supporter, not every Republican agrees with or wants to see more of what happened Wednesday. But let's start out with Grandmaster Jay and the NFAC. Why, you ask? Well, every time Grandmaster Jay and the NFAC have had a formation, they've automatically been viewed as a threat. Massive amounts of security in all locations. Grandmaster Jay was arrested on trumped up charges. Let's take that to Louisville, where the charges were based. The incident that the charges were based on occurred. In Louisville, on the front lawn of the Attorney General of Kentucky, more people were arrested at one time than the total number that was arrested in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday. Now, the people in Louisville on the front lawn of the Attorney General were protesting peacefully over the fact that justice had not been brought in the Breonna Taylor case. The people in Washington, D.C. Wednesday were carrying out the will of a petulant, petty person that occupies the White House at the moment. That's my opinion. Wednesday, threats were ignored. Lack of sufficient security, as was pointed out in the last episode where we featured a conversation with Chris and with Mike. And I apologize to all of you and to the two of them, a technical glitch. And the first part of that, the interview was unexpectedly interrupted, and the first part did not get saved onto the computer. And I apologize for that. And I'd like to have Chris back on in the next day or so, because some of the things he said in that first part of the interview, I'm going to try to repeat now. But one of the things, Chris was, he began his career as a metropolitan police officer in the District of Columbia. So Chris knew what was going on Wednesday and what should have been going on. And he explained it very well. And again, I hope to have him back on to do that. But just because we know what should have happened, the real question comes as, why was there an unwillingness to act? No mass arrests. And again, it just brings to light the double standard that has existed, that we have been talking about since the show began. Now, the spotlight is on that. The spotlight is now on that double standard, okay? Joe Biden has mentioned it. The mainstream media are reporting on it. Now, it's not going to stay in the spotlight. And that's why it's important that we launch EAR now. It's time for EAR. And with that in mind, our first board meeting is going to be tomorrow, Saturday. And we will be announcing things and rolling things out as we progress towards an official birth let's say, of a movement. And once again, the goal of this movement is, and it's lofty. Of course, the name says it all, EAR, end all racism. Different colors, one people. The goal is to be for equality what the NRA was for guns. The goal is to be so big that there will never be a question that things aren't going to be equal, because there's such a large group in the community of the United States, in the population of the entire country, that demands equality. And it's time. And we're going to be having our first board meeting tomorrow, as I said. Now, no mass arrests in what happened Wednesday, as far as kettling, as far as the strip ties, as far as it doesn't matter if you're just if you were just walking across the street and weren't part of the protest, you're arrested. We saw none of that Wednesday. However, arrests are starting to happen. Let's go to video.
The rioter, who was pictured with his feet up in House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office, has officially been arrested. The man is Richard Barnett. He was arrested on charges of entering and remaining on restricted grounds, violent entry, and theft of public property. Barnett and the riotous group of pro-Trump rioters that reached the Capitol on Wednesday did not just spring up out of nowhere. It was arguably a culmination of 4 years of pro-Trump internet conspiracy theories that reached a fever pitch in the wake of the election, as the president promoted baseless claims of election fraud and told them to march in the Capitol to, quote, remember the hashtag, stop the steal. Hello, YouTubers.
And more arrests have occurred and will continue. Here's someone else that is incriminating himself and will soon go to jail.
You came here by yourself, right?
I did, yeah.
All right, and
Leo Kelly.
What happened? You went to the Capitol and you just made your way to the front?
Yeah. So we listened to the president's speech over at the Ellipse in front of the White House, and we made our way down Constitution and Pennsylvania Avenues and walked up to the Capitol building. And by the time I got there, there were people already way up, climbing scaffolding up there, climbing up the stairs. There wasn't even any barricades to keep us out, like maybe there were before I got there, but they were gone by the time I got there. I wanted to see what was going on, so I just kept climbing as far as I could. And you just have to understand, there were so many people out there, you could only move so fast. Like everybody's trying to get up close to the building, and you just couldn't. You couldn't even move for a lot of the time. You had to wait for people to kind of filter up as they, different people were, I don't know if they were opening new parts of the stairs or something, but eventually I made it up around the building, the Capitol building.
And what made you decide that you wanted to go inside the Capitol?
That's an interesting moment. I think I just saw it happen, and I was like, there's something going on here. This is a moment in U.S. history that, like, it's not unlike like the days of the beginning of the country. Like, it's just like there at some point there's enough illegal behavior and there's enough crimes against the Constitution being committed by the elected officials that, what are you supposed to do? Nobody in the.
It would be interesting to know what the crimes of the elected officials and the crimes that this person is talking about. I stop it here to mention that because it's all internet conspiracy. It's a vast plethora of lies that have been perpetuated upon people. And it's going to take a long time to deprogram, if you will, these people. It is, if it's not a cult, it is certainly cult-like. Let's continue to listen.
Courts will listen to, they won't even take a look at the evidence. They just dismiss all the election fraud cases on ground.
Okay, so really, it wasn't elected officials doing anything. It was actually the fact Trump did not win the election. So now he has made that clear, and we make it clear as well. Let's continue.
So that there's no standing or whatever. Like, so, at some point you reach a point and you just say, well, none of my institutions are working. None of this, like this, it just, what am I supposed to do?
When you woke up this morning, you obviously had no idea that you would be storming the Capitol and breaching the Capitol building and going inside. You shot some video in there, and
Yeah.
we're going to show some of that. How long were you in the Capitol?
Oh man, it seems like such a long time because you're just all senses are going, you're paying attention to everything. I would guess between 30 and 60 minutes total.
And how many people were in there?
In the hundreds that I saw, but it was just such chaos because there would be a group with me and a group of people that are blocked by a line of law enforcement officers, which, by the way, most of my interactions with them they were professional, trying to do what they were, fulfill their duty, and the people in line, us were just, mostly respectful as you can be when you're kind of really pushing in on somebody's space like that. But then there'd be us, and then a line of police officers or whatever law enforcement, and then behind you'll see other people just running around. Like, it's just absolute chaos, and you're like, the Capitol building is huge, and it's kind of weird. Like, you get in there and you're like, oh, like now we're gonna go, make our voices heard on, the floor of the Senate or the floor of the House.
You went all the way to the Senate floor.
I did. We said a prayer in there. There was a guy up there. Actually, there was one guy up there who just said we should pray, and so some of us did. And he was on his bullhorn microphone thing, and he just consecrated it to Jesus and said, It is that, to me, was the ultimate statement of where we are in this movement. It's like, there's a flag that goes around up there, the appeal to heaven.
Yeah.
And that was one of the original movements in what became the United States, is we appeal to heaven because we, as individuals, we're powerless. We've been betrayed by Congress. We've been betrayed by the judicial branch. We've been betrayed by our local government.
You've been betrayed by the President of the United States. You've been scammed. You've been conned. And hopefully you'll see that. You might just put yourself 10 years in prison because Trump himself signed a law that if you violate federal property, monuments, or statues, it's automatically 10 years in prison. And no, I'm not making that up. Please look it up.
That's our mayors and everything. What are we supposed to do?
Realize you've been conned.
Well, that's a good question. Well, how do you feel about what went down today?
Again, the guy's name's Leo Kelly, and it's right here.
I feel I'm kind of conflicted because, you violate
this is important. Okay. The reason I'm showing this is not to make sure Leo Kelly goes to prison for 10 years. Okay. The reason I'm showing this is to give all of us it's an education to me. We are learning what is going on in this person's thought processes, why he continues to support someone who clearly lost an election. And if you still have doubts about that, why did all the other Republicans win? Why did all the other Republicans outperform Trump when it came to voter percentages? Just a little bit of common sense. And we feel sorry for you that you've been conned. But if you allow it to continue, that's totally on you. Totally on you.
Someone else's space, you force your way into a building. In some ways that really feels wrong. But
It
whose
is
space
wrong.
is that? That really does belong to us. And there's, that should only be an absolute last resort. And we'll see how, I don't know that, maybe we shouldn't have done that, but it's just, you come to the end of your rope and you say, what else am I supposed to do? And you get swept up in a movement. There's a bunch of people, running and doing this, and it's just all of a sudden you don't. It's not the logical mind that's working anymore. It's you're just reacting to things, and finally there's a chance that you can be heard and you can have your voice, patriotic voice for the Constitution, for the legitimacy of votes. Finally there's a chance, and we took that chance, and that's God will judge us for what we did, and
God will not be the only one that will judge you for what you did. And I have no doubt the man's sincerity. I think he believes what he did was patriotic. It wasn't. It was the total opposite. It was the total opposite.
And I'm redeemed by the blood of Jesus Christ, right? There's no judgment that stands against me. Perhaps I did something wrong, I tried to be as responsible.
Now this is another thing that happens. People, especially white people, especially white evangelical, non-denominational people, automatically assume that they are free to do whatever they want because they're redeemed by the blood of Jesus Christ. And while I do not and will not question the power of Jesus, I will remind everyone that Jesus always said, "Arise and sin no more." So it's not an all-encompassing get out of jail free card for anything you choose to do. And some people, as he said, his logical mind had stopped and he was just reacting to go along with people around him. And while I thank you if you're still watching this, that's incredibly dangerous.
Respectful as I could while I was in there, while still saying what I felt needed to be said. But what else what were we supposed to do? What are Americans supposed to do? Just no one will even listen to us. None of these people in Congress, none of these people, they just don't listen. Oh, hello, can you hear me now? Yeah.
They won't listen to you because what you're saying are lies. And I do not doubt that you believe it to be your truth. I do not doubt that. But they're lies perpetuated by a person that you've chosen to believe over science, over journalism, over your own eyes in many situations. You talked about being at the end of the rope, and what are you supposed to do? The Black community has been at the end of the rope. And sadly, that immediately brought to mind the gallows that were on the Capitol grounds on Wednesday. And that's horrific that a metaphor would bring such a horrible, symbolic, ugly, horrific. And you compare it with bringing the Confederate flag inside the Capitol building as well. And you talk about pipe bombs, one in front of the RNC, one in front of the DNC, Republican National Committee, Democratic National Committee buildings, 2 on the grounds of the Capitol. Trumpers are terrorists, using force, threats, and intimidation to impose their will. A combination of privilege, prejudice, and pigment. We just saw it in the videos. Now, as I said in the beginning, not all supporters of Trump support what he has, is, and will bring about. But they will be guilty by association. And that's been the case with communities of color for decades. People automatically assumed to be felons simply because of the color of their skin. You that supported and continue to support Donald Trump will be assumed dangerous because he is dangerous and some of his followers have proven to be dangerous. You will know how it feels, and it will not feel good to have guilt by association. And hopefully you'll learn from it that the way I'm getting treated, I've treated other people for so long unnecessarily. Hopefully it'll be a lesson. And it will for some. And it will open a lot of people's eyes, and it already has opened a lot of people's eyes. I've heard from them. And yeah, we're still friends. I'm a little more cautious now. And for those that continue on this train, you're only going to hurt yourself. You're not going to help Donald Trump, and Donald Trump couldn't give 2 shits about you, about me, about any of us, about anybody other than Donald Trump. I don't even know if he cares about his kids. I really don't. Joe Biden going to be the answer? No, we're going to have to hold everyone's feet to the fire, because it's too easy to slip back to where we just from where we just came. Tomorrow, I think it's going to all kick off again. Saturday, I think it's all going to kick off again. Why? Well, Trump is under attack. There are still many that will commit terrorist acts in his name, targeting media, targeting federal buildings, targeting the Vice President of the United States. Who knows? I don't know, because I haven't been following. I've been reporting. I haven't been investigating. If you know, let me know, and I will let everyone know. If you know something's going down tomorrow, or if you come across a clip, or you come across a hacked video, let me know, and I will get it out there, because I believe things are going to go down tomorrow. I believe it's going to kick off again with the MAGA terrorists. And again, if you don't want to be guilty by association, don't be. It's your choice. Trump's under attack. There's an incredible amount of talk of impeachment, and there's not a lot of pushback against it, okay? There's a lot of talk about pressuring Pence into enacting the 4th article of the 25th Amendment of the Constitution and forcibly removing him. Personally, I still believe somebody's going to talk some common sense into him and say, resign so Pence can pardon you and you can come back and run in 2024. If he's impeached and removed, or if he's forcibly removed by the 25th Amendment, Article 4, which has never happened. It's never been used. And there are those constitutionalists who say, if not now, when? So you consider all the attacks that Donald Trump is under and how those attacks are perceived by his diehard loyal supporters. And hopefully that number is dwindling. But even if it is dwindling, the mainstream media keeps talking down to them like they're totally ignorant. They're not. They're not. They've just been misled for so long that it's ingrained. But they're not all ignorant or stupid. And the media talking to them like that is just going to infuriate them, in my opinion. So, as Donald Trump said in the at the end of his speech, his last video speech, it's just the beginning. And I think we should take him for his word. And we should be wary of what comes yet tonight on Friday and what comes tomorrow on Saturday, the 9th of January, the year 2021. Hopefully it's a peaceful day and we can all watch Wild Card Weekend NFL football, those of us that do so. But I have a feeling that's not going to be the case. Just something to think about. It's the American Doofus Show. I'm your host, Barry Welsh. Thanks for watching. As things happen, we'll be back. You know, I love y'all. Stay safe. Stay alive. Don't be a doofus.